Thanks for tuning in to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. I am your international certified life coach, Tiadra Taylor. The sole purpose of this podcast is to get you from where you are now to where you want to be. Yes, it's time to break chains and to get unstuck. Thanks again for joining in. Let's begin. Hello. Thank you guys for joining in yet another Wednesday to the Real Women Chronicles podcast. If you are joining in for the first time, I am your host, certified life and relationship coach, Tiadra Taylor. Listen, if you guys, whoever it is out there listening to the sound of my voice, I really pray that you guys are doing A-okay during this pandemic. It's been crazy out here for us, but I have faith that God is just protecting each and every one of us through this all, and there's a meaning for this season. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right back into today's podcast. I am joined here by a very special guest to me, y'all. She is my sister, and when I say sister, I mean that in the literal sense. We have the same mama, same daddy. My little sister is joining us today, and I hate to say little because she is one of my biggest motivators, and I mean that, especially as an entrepreneur, as an overcomer, y'all. Let me just let her introduce herself. Go ahead, sis.
Thank you so much, sis. And just like I motivate you, you motivate me. So my name is Revia Dobbins, and I am the CEO of a fashion brand called Glam over Gossip.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today, sis.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to.
Oh, man. So, of course, I've known her since, the diaper days. But for those who do not know you and have not heard of Glam Over Gossip, please give us a little background about who you are, where you're from, how you get started, and all of that good stuff. You guys today, just to let you know, we're all going to talk about entrepreneuring and following your dreams in the midst of everything that you go through in life. And that is what the topic of today's podcast is going to be about. So, sis, go ahead. Let us know about you.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Columbia, Maryland. I often visited Baltimore City, where my dad lived after he moved out of the home. So I like to say I've been influenced by both, just living in a county and also visiting the city often on holidays and summers. So a big part of me has been influenced by Columbia and Baltimore. So Columbia is a small town in between Baltimore and DC. So I like to say we're kind of like a melting pot. We get a lot of influences from the big cities around us. So yeah, I grew up and I was the youngest of three girls. My sisters, which is my sister on this podcast, they are 4.5 and 6 years older than me. So as a child, while they were teenagers and they were out doing their own thing, I was forced to be in the house and be creative and find things to do. So thankfully, my parents were very, very helpful and just pushing out my creativity. So especially my mom, she's very artsy. So she would buy me all sorts of arts and crafts just to keep me occupied. Even though I wasn't the only child, when I was younger, a lot of times I felt like I was the only child because they were outside and I was just inside trying to entertain myself. So that is where it all started.
So when it comes to your creativity, now, of course, I know this, but many of you guys do not know. When did fashion become your focal point? Like, did you go to school? Let the listeners know.
Sure. So I like to say fashion found me. I didn't find it. I went to Morgan State University. Okay. Shout out to Morgan. And there I studied business administration. So while I was there, I joined a fashion group there that was called ABC, which was really hot on campus. And during that time, I was able to make fashion friends and just develop myself. And I was like, okay, I definitely always wanted to own a business. Like when I was young, I used to say to my mom, like, Mom, why can't we own a candy store? When we
Mm.
would go to like a corner store in the city, just visiting family. So very early on, I didn't know then, but I know now that I always wanted to be a business owner. But in college, it just developed, and I was like, I want to do a business that I know I love and I'm passionate about. And I'm very passionate about women and their confidence and self-esteem. So this is how I got to this point. Um, so it just really developed in college.
Wow, wow, that is amazing. So, as you know, I am a huge fan of the name of the business. When she first told me about it, guys, I went crazy because I just love the term glam over gossip. Let us know how you came up with with that name and what it really stands for.
Okay. Well, my fashion business, the name started off as Czar,
Okay.
which meant Zealous Apparel by Reva.
Mhm.
But I wanted something that was way more catchier. I'm like, if somebody sees me coming down their timeline, I want them to remember this name easily. And I was like, glam over gossip just hit me. It just hit my spirit.
Mhm.
Glam over gossip means to stay beautiful over the rocks being thrown.
Oh
So
yeah.
I just
Mm.
really, really, I know this world beats women down so
Yes.
much. And
Mhm.
I just feel like it's so important for us to look beautiful and feel beautiful, despite of all the things that they're constantly criticizing us women about our shapes, our complexion, our hair isn't long enough, our hair isn't curly enough. It's so many things. So I'm just promoting people and women just being confident.
Okay, okay. So in general, your hopes for the brand itself would be to promote that confidence in women and to pretty much make us feel beautiful, correct?
Exactly. It's my whole purpose is just, through the negative things, we're slaying this gossip, okay,
Oh yeah.
through style. So when I walk in a room, my style will combat things for me. And that
Mm.
is the purpose of Glam Over Gossip.
Wow, that is absolutely powerful. You know what, sis? I never even heard you explain it like this. And when I say you guys that this line, she really has put time into it to really make it mean something. It's not just finding a clothing manufacturer and just throwing something out there and putting a price tag on it. It's really, really meaning behind every line that she drops and every piece that she picks. And right now, if you go to the website, you will see the skin line. Give us a little background about the skin line.
Okay, so right now it is available and you can purchase it on my website, which is glamovergossip.com. The collection now is called Skin Collection.
Okay.
So it's something that I started to develop at the end of 2019. But as the epidemic hit, the purpose kind of changed a little bit. So it's kind of like my quarantine diaries.
Mm.
This line will feature pieces and music, and it's just going to be talking about awakenings. It's going to be talking about love. It's going to be talking about doubts. It's going to be talking about the comebacks because we're
Oh,
all coming back after this quarantine. I have faith that, like you said, it's a purpose behind this.
yeah.
So, like I said, this new collection is about what is going on underneath of our skin. How do we feel inside? How is quarantine making us feel?
Wow.
How is this virus making us feel? How are the people in our life making us feel during this time?
Mm.
So that is what the skin collection embodies.
Oh wow, that is absolutely so deep. And I really felt moved by just the skin collection alone. When you first dropped it, I was
Thank
super,
you,
super
sis.
motivated. You're welcome. And many of you guys do not know that, and we're just gonna dive right in this, that guess what? We are entrepreneurs, but we also have decided to press forward in the midst of changes that happen in both of our lives. We
Yes.
lost our father a year ago, over a year ago now. Both my sister and I have been through relationship up and downs, all while trying to pursue our education, trying to pursue dreams. So I know I
Yeah.
talk a lot about overcoming breakups and just, overcoming losses and keeping your faith. Let me ask you something. How do you keep following your dreams in the midst of taking losses?
Well, I can say that it's definitely not easy.
Oh yeah.
But it's something that you just have to get through it. You got to
Okay.
go through it to get through it. I've been saying
Mm,
that for months. You have to go through it to get through it. So I went through a lot of changes. Like she said, our dad passed in the beginning of 2019 as I was preparing to go to California to chase my dreams. So it was devastating. It was so devastating. I was like, oh my gosh. I was just talking to my dad about, hey dad, I'm going to California in March. And he was happy for me. He was like, yeah, you should go. He was excited. And
yes.
in the midst of that, I lost my dad. So I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Am I still going to go? What am I going to do? In the midst of that, I was going through relationship problems, and it was very hard for him to just deal with my emotions from losing my dad. And it was a lot of turmoil in that situation and just trying to get through all the different emotions. So with that being said, I just pushed forward. I knew that I still loved this fashion thing and that I had to do it for my dad. He really, really wanted me to do this. So I said, you know what? Daddy would want me to go. So I'm still going to go to California and I'm going to do everything I set out to do. So it kind of lit a fire under me to just go and soak up all the information, which I went to a fashion program called Fashionpreneur Academy. And there I just further developed myself.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. As I said, you guys, we lost a very, very important part, a person that was, there from when from the time we entered this world. So it was a challenging season, and I love the fact that you say that you just kept pressing forward. If you could give anybody out there some directions or some type of sound advice on how do you press forward during these seasons, if you're right now, dreaming, and you're in love, or you're suffering loss, and especially in the midst of all this COVID-19 stuff, what really kept you moving forward? Other than dad's, of course, we always have dad support. What kept you grounded on those days where you were feeling lonely and you were feeling lost?
Um, God.
Mm.
I know it says so much, but God and family. But I would just like to speak on God first. It was very important for me to get back into church. I
Mm.
didn't grow up in a church, so I wasn't a person, or my family, we didn't go to church every Sunday. So I had to find my way back into the church and get around these spirits and these prayer warriors. And I had women pray over me and men pray over me and just get the spirit in me, because it was so hard. I mean, I
Yeah.
battled through depression
Mm.
2019 for the first time, and I've always been a very strong Leo woman, and
Absolutely.
I never, really felt like I went through a deep depression until that season. So
Mm.
that church really helped me get through that, as well as family. Just talking to family and friends, best friends, trying to get out the house and just keep my mind off of things and just to keep pressing.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys hear that? Faith God number one. And I definitely have to agree with her on that, with everything that we've gone through collectively, as well as